This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans, so meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, Arjun, so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Shannon. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So today, as usual, we're going to start with a fun little game to get things rolling. So I thought this was a very perfect fit for you specifically, just because, I mean, we have a lot of founders, CEOs, whatever it may be on the show, but because the nature of your work is also around founders, I thought this would be like something very fun. So this game is called Founder Hot Take. So okay. I'm going to give you a bunch of opinions that I'm sure a founder has had here and there, maybe like popular consensus of founders, and you are going to tell me whether you agree or disagree with that statement and why. Does that sound good?
Let's go. Yeah. Yay.
Okay. First one is consistency matters more than quality.
100%. I agree with that. I'm happy to go deeper. Do you want me to tell you a little bit more about it?
As long as it's not extensive, I love the explanation for each.
Yeah, I mean, time and time again, you've seen that people who show up regularly are more likely to go the distance. This is true for how you create content. This is true for how you show up. Consistency is absolutely there. The other opposite end of it is people trying to get that one perfect moment, and it does not. You end up in a perfectionist trap at that point of time. So definitely consistency over quality there.
I completely understand. I think a lot of people focus so much on being perfect or quality, or having a specific quality that they kind of almost waste time because they're not just putting stuff out there, and people sometimes need to be reminded that you exist, which is probably the purpose of your whole thing. So actually, that's a great segue into the next point, going a little out of order, but so next one is perfectionism is just fear with better branding.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that. I completely agree with that as well. I think when we say perfectionist, again, I'm not going into the psychology of it as to how you go about, you grew and how that started or anything like that. But I've noticed a lot that the fear of putting something out there and the vulnerability that comes with that is a little bit too hard for people to handle. And so they end up tweaking it to the point where they feel comfortable about it. And the truth is they never do. And perfectionist is feels like a good, good reason to postpone things, good reason to say why you haven't done things in the first place. But over time, and I've had that tendencies in the past, and over time I've learned that being that 80% good and being consistent about that is way more important than trying to be that 100%. Again, I'm not saying that be sloppy or don't worry about quality or anything like that. It's just about finding that balance between shipping things, getting things out, than being that perfectionist.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I think that perfectionism sometimes to a fault can be stifling. And I think that's something that people don't consider a lot of the time when they have a very high standard for quality. And it's not you can't have high standards, but you need to find a balance of being efficient in creating something that, or even compromising sometimes and fitting something that is close enough to your standards, but sometimes not something that might ever get there if you're such a perfectionist that nothing can achieve that goal, then you're just not committing to anything.
Right. Yeah. I see a lot of people saying that I'm not going to put it out there until I feel good about it. And I have since then, in the last 5-10 years, moved away from that kind of thinking and more think at everything as it's a series and like this is just one iteration of it and you're just going to keep doing this.
Exactly, 100%. Okay, moving on to a next topic. Every founder should be creating video content.
I mean, this is something that I cannot not agree, right? Yeah, I've come to like realize that I was one of those people who are like, it's like, I don't look good on video, or like, what am I going to say? And like, who's going to watch my face? And like, what is something that I'm going to say that people have not already seen? Like, this is these kind of things that always goes in your head. It's like, we call this the mindset gap. And I've seen many versions of it, more from myself and like so many from all the people that we've talked to. But video is emerging to be the more dominant way that you create content for one of three reasons, right? Like one, it's the most trusted, authentic way that you can present yourself because it's your voice, it's your presence, and so you need to be out there. And then now with the whole like AI slop and like, the amount of content that's being generated, not to say that like, AI can't create video, but it's still not there at the point where like you can be replaced by video. And even if so, people are able to understand the difference between it, but text, it's getting there. So the amount of text content out there that is generated by AI means you don't feel like you're reading someone, you just feel like you're just, again, reading ChatGPT when you are out there reading content. The third reason is because of these reasons, algorithms have started prioritizing video content. And so slowly the attention is going more towards video. And you can see how video is the dominant way people are consuming content right now. And like all the social media platforms and algorithms have started like promoting video content a lot more. So, I mean, for all these reasons and probably many more, I would probably say everybody should be on video.
Yeah, I can completely agree with all of that as well, because it is a fuzzy world out there, for lack of better phrasing, with AI being so heavily incorporated in content now. And I think that maybe it'll be harder in the future, but I think it's kind of easier to see authenticity within video now, because even if you're like, say, using an AI script, for lack of better phrasing, that maybe you didn't edit to make sound more human, people can very easily identify that. So it's like when you're being authentic and you're kind of like even messing up a little sometimes, like, and this is kind of goes back to our point of like being a perfectionist, like sometimes maybe when you're being a perfectionist, it makes it sound like you're being even more inauthentic, because the more steps that you go through to create something, it kind of muddles what it was in the beginning, especially creatively, which I think is the consensus from a lot of creatives that I hear, who kind of have like bureaucracies in place that like stifle what the original creative idea was.
No, absolutely. I mean, you come from a creative world as well. Like, you understand that like there is a level of authenticity that's very important for you to be creative, and that's true in the creative world. But even in the founder world, where they care about like their audience is typically potential customers, their audience is potential investors, and for them to see you for who you are and in all your natural self, your ums and ahs and like everything matters, because that's who you are. So while it is good to polish the videos to the point where it actually is watchable and it's consumable and like take care of this, you don't want to do that at the cost of authenticity, for sure.
I completely agree. It is, people really in this age of so much noise, especially with where content is concerned, and like kind of anyone can create content at this point in time, they really want something that's authentic and real and also of value, and that's kind of hard to create sometimes when you're not being real.
Yeah.
Okay, so final one, because we're really getting into it, and I think this is a really good start to our conversation as well. So last one I'm going to give you is personal brands will matter more than company brands.
Yeah, this is a good one. I think that the shift has been pretty clear, like in the last maybe like 5 or so years. This has become absolutely true for smaller organizations. If you look at a company that has like 100 or like less people, predominantly the relationship and the customers that they are like driving are all run because you trust one person in that company, and that's why you do business with that company. You're more likely to do that. Like when you're a startup or you're a small company, it's a no-brainer because your company brand doesn't even exist. Like nobody knows you, and so you're more or less associated with people are going to do business with you. And then more often than not, if you really look at the even mid-sized organizations to big organizations, even though there is like the company brand and people do business because they actually like recognize the company brand, ultimately people buy from people. You want to make sure that the person that you are working with inside an organization is someone who you trust, is someone that you have a relationship with. And so the more I believe that this person is an authority in this area, the more importance that I'm going to do. So you can hear these words like employee advocacy or like bigger businesses starting to empower their employees, mostly their C-suite and their sales organizations, to start becoming authorities and thought leaders in their space and build a personal brand around themselves. And there used to be a time when people were like, it's like, oh, if I invest so much in like helping my employee build their personal brand, and if they leave my company, there used to be a thinking a while back. But nowadays, people are realizing that it doesn't matter. You want to bring big star people who have their own authority. And as long as they're working in your company and you keep them happy, their authority is going to give you business. And so it's becoming a staple right now where everybody is building their personal brand.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that it is, I think that the only companies maybe, and I shouldn't say only because that's kind of really narrowing it down, but I think that a lot of companies that are really pushing brand are ones that kind of have been around for a really long time and have like that sense of loyalty that can't really be lost, or can, but like it's very strong. And those are kind of very, very long-standing companies. Whereas I think new companies, people aren't necessarily going to be bought in just what a brand is, especially in the age of AI, where we are having to kind of discern whether something is real or not, and it's very difficult having more and more brands created that we're not even sure if they're real or they're like acting in our best interest. And so if you have a person that you trust, not only do you trust that brand more, but you also, for lack of better phrasing, have someone to blame when you are burned by a brand. And I think that when someone is willing to put their face on something, then that makes you automatically trust a brand more, because like they're associating themselves with the brand. And if you trust them, then you feel like they wouldn't steer you wrong.
Right, exactly. And I think, yeah, you're spot on in that bigger brands, like if you're a Nike or a Coca-Cola, like, you don't need to like have like an individual be there as the face of the company. But even there, like now people are like starting to think about like, hey, what is, the leader of this organization saying? I mean, Elon Musk is a classic case. Again, not to go into like the specifics of it, is like exactly what you talked about, is like for the good or the bad, it's become his face and his name has been associated with all the companies that he works with. And you can see how it can go either ways as well. So it's a responsibility for sure to take your personal brand and associate it with the company's brand, because then you have more reason to behave in a way that also benefits the company. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it is something that is, I mean, probably a little bit scary sometimes, but if you genuinely have confidence in what you do and where you're working and what you've created, if you're a founder, then you should be able to put your face on something, because then that means you're able to not only stand by that company when maybe it does make mistakes. I mean, maybe some things are done incorrectly, which is just human. You're also able to like be proud of what you've created and talk about that journey. And
absolutely, yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say, speaking of, I'd love to kind of talk about what inspired you to start Zync. Like, was there a specific moment where you knew this idea like should become real? Like, is there something within your own experience with personal branding that like influenced why you built this product?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of organically came to this from a bunch of experiences that I've had. In the past, I'm an engineer by training. I've spent enough time in my career just sitting behind a desk and not like nobody knows my face kind of person. And then I started a company, and then I realized that I needed a personal brand and I need to do it. And I had no idea how to do that part. And again, as you know, that like creating content is cheap and easy, and it's become like really easy to do, but you still see not many people doing that. And I was suffering from the same kind of gaps that I was noticing other people suffering from. Like, as I said, there is the mindset gap of you discount yourself and say that you're not ready to be on video, or like who's going to hear my thoughts, that imposter syndrome, and everything kicks in, and it does for the best of the best as well. And so that mindset gap is one thing that you needed to overcome. And then you think about there is the big consistency gap. It's doing it one time is easy. Creating content for one time is like, you just jump in, record, free, go edit and everything. But then like when you are doing this over and over, week over week, it won't happen unless you have a process in place. You will almost have a system and like some dedicated resources for it to be able to make that consistent content. And so that's another gap that we were noticing is people, even if they had the time to do it, they're not. But then on top of it is like the tactics gap, which is that there is like the skills and time and resources and effort that it needs to like create any form of content. And again, while we want authentic content and everything, people have come to expect a level of quality in every content when you post it out there, even if it's not like sort of fineness in how somebody's speaking, just how small it is and like how well cropped it is and how well like it's presented and like good quality and everything. People have some expectations. So the idea of like just basic editing and everything has become sort of an effort, and that tactics gap needs to be crossed. And one of the other main thing is the strategic gap, which is what kind of content should I be even creating, and who am I actually targeting? Is this audience that I'm targeting the same audience as who would be there for, are these my customers, or is this like a wider audience or a niche audience? Like, so you need to like come up with a strategy around that. What kind of content should I give? What is my style? What is the way that I'm going to talk? So like that strategic gap also exists. And I felt like I struggled and stumbled and like, came through all of these things. And so we figured there is a lot of things that we can take away from people's plate, so you can just give them the space to just be authentic and spend very little time of them to be able to share their thoughts, and then take away all that grunt work away. And that's the inspiration behind starting Zync as it is. And the product itself has gone through many iterations, and it's still kind of like morphing into like being more useful for people. But we used to have like a podcast studio, like kind of like what we're doing here right now, and we used to also do that. And there are like many challenges and many gaps in that as well. And I'm happy to talk about that. But in general, my journey is like sort of what I noticed for myself and for people who I was working with, and then that prompted us to start Zync.
I think that makes complete sense. And I want to touch on a lot of those things, because as someone who runs a podcast and talks to a lot of people about their own podcasting and things like that, I love the model of Zync, because I do think that a very difficult thing that a lot of people face, and when I talk to people, especially like when they're creating their own podcasts or content, is that not like they give up on it. And it's not, and I don't think that's because like anyone's lazy or like they don't have enough to produce or like they don't have enough to say, but I think a lot of times it's just because you don't have a proper plan, or you don't like have this fit into your schedule, or sometimes you spend too much time strategizing that you feel like you're wasting time. And that was like kind of what we touched on earlier. And like having Zync like not only develop a plan, but also like help you with that strategizing, I think is something that is really helpful, and something that a lot of people, especially founders who have like so much on their plate most of the time, is they struggle with, because like big projects like this, they see it as something that's so daunting, and it can be. That's not taking away from like the amount of work that it takes. I know firsthand, but it is something that like having a tool would be incredibly helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the amount of effort it takes and like how easy it is to like get feel like, okay, this is not going anywhere and I don't have to do this, because like it's almost like a lot of effort for like not sure how much gain, right? Like that's how it feels in the initial stages at least. So how do you do that? I mean, we all know that like systems thinking and like making sure you have a system in place is the best way to do it. But like just putting that all in action is a lot of effort.
Completely. And even with when you're creating your personal brand, and I'd love actually for you to shed some light on this, is especially when you're saying you're coming from like a place where like having a tech job and kind of like laying low in a company. How did you continue to kind of fight back on this, maybe if you've experienced it or not, like imposter syndrome that a lot of people have when like creating content? Because even I've found previously with my own kind of creating content that I always like to highlight other people, because that's the nature of our podcast and things like that. When I'm creating content either for like LinkedIn and different things like that, I'm like, oh, I'm posting too much, like I'm annoying people, I don't feel like this is going to be like something that someone wants to hear. I don't know. And like, I think talking to a lot of founders, a lot of people feel like that, like they're not an authority figure on this, or they shouldn't be, or they're afraid to represent themselves in quantity as well as quality.
Yeah, I think the imposter syndrome is true. Like, most people feel that, and most people will feel that in some times of the day or sometimes of the week than other times. And like, I have that too. And like, everybody goes through that. I would probably say like a couple of hacks to go around this, in my opinion, would be to almost treat this as if you had something that you want to tell to like yourself from 10 years ago, what would it be? Or 5 years ago, what would it be? All right. And I think it's very easy that when I kind of like equate it to like you're doing a hike, you don't realize that you're gaining altitude until you look back and see like where you were like, just 30 minutes back, and you're like now climbed so much more. And so that person who's standing over there could use a lot of your help in like sort of navigating the next 30 minutes for them, right? Like, so that's kind of the way to think about it, is like, you're not trying to like profess to the world. You're trying to like talk to somebody who is in your shoes only like 5 years back. And then like, what would you say, what mistakes that you avoided? So that's one kind of hack in like sort of how you mentally think about it. And in saying that, we all imagine a person reading it when we post it, and we think that like, it's like, oh, that person should already know what I'm saying, so what is the point of doing that? And so we always are like sort of discounting it. So it's good to keep that one person who is maybe like 5 years behind you, and then like have that person in mind, and then say that person could benefit from it, and that helps a lot. And there are thousands of that 5 year before you. Over there are millions, if not, right? So that's totally worth it. Another hack is like just have a friend or like another person ask you questions, because podcast works so well. It's mostly because if you were to ask me to talk about these topics, I feel like, oh, what would I say? But if you actually ask me a question, it's easy to answer it. So just the idea of having someone ask a question and you answering it gives you a lot more clarity. And it also makes you feel like when they're genuinely asking a question that you think that like everybody should know, it like sort of snaps that bubble that like, okay, you feel like you know this, but not everybody does. And so you need to make this obvious for people and create that content over there. So that's a couple of hacks that I would say, is like that, imagining that one audience member and that person being you from 5 years ago. And then also the other thing is just have someone ask questions and then just answer them.
I think those are really great tips, especially I think that a big difficulty that a lot of people have too when putting content out there is not knowing what to say. And I think that like talking to someone about like what other people may be curious about in relation to their authority or whatever their like experience is a better insight rather than just kind of putting out, you know, whatever. And I think that as we talked about, you know, sometimes consistency is better than quality. Sometimes putting out whatever, for lack of better phrasing, is still important for consistency, but also to know that at least the majority of what you're putting out there, you know, it will be valuable to someone is really important. And if you don't have someone to ask you questions, you might not know what you have of value. So when building Zync, were there specific challenges, and like speaking of, you know, the whole analogy that you made or the metaphor that you made of the walking up the mountain and looking behind, like, are there things that you've found that you wish you knew when starting Zync that you know now, and like maybe what you would change, or like something that has maybe dawned on you that you feel has changed your outlook on how you work in general from doing this?
Yeah. Again, the one thing that I don't think, I mean, it's not like I didn't know it, but it's more where I sort of fool myself thinking that like this time it would be different, you know, the kind of thing that you do when you feel like you're starting something and you're excited about it is behavior change is like incredibly hard. Like having people do something that they are not doing already or like are doing it differently right now is an incredibly hard thing. But in some ways, I always tell myself that it's worth attempting, because that's the only way that you're really going to create a true moat for yourself, given the day and how easy it is to create these things. So that's kind of what it is. But, you know, time and time again, like it actually hits you so hard. And so I look back and say, sometimes feel frustrated and say, like, you know, it's like, I wish I actually don't take something that requires people to change their behavior and instead just do the things the way that they always do, but just like give me money for like some small optimization of that or something like that, right? Like taking a business like that is so much more easier. So that's something that I would tell myself is some things are hard, but I also go back and thinking that it's worth it. Like, you know, it's worth making an attempt at it, because if you're not trying to change the behavior, you truly don't have a moat. Other than that, there are like so many other smaller things that I have learned over time. And like, I think more in my previous startup and everything, like the kind of people that you work with matters a lot. And like, you know, it's like your team and like how you work with people makes a lot of difference. I would also say that it's easy to look at the shiny red object and get distracted, given like how many shiny red objects are out there right now, and it's easy to like lose track of it, and I've done that a few times as well. So maybe being a little bit more focused on like your goals and your vision is probably important.
Yeah, I completely understand that, and I think that is something that is spoken about, specifically the shiny object syndrome is something that's spoken about a lot in this area. I think that especially with so many exciting AI tools coming out, I think a lot of people want to try so many things, but they don't realize like that some things may not really even optimize their workload or like make things more efficient. It's just something that's exciting that looks really cool, but maybe it's complicated or it's not entirely complete or as efficient as you'd like it to be. And exploring those is important because, of course, yes, you should be looking to optimize things in certain ways, but then there's some things that are taking up too much time and aren't really optimizing things. If something's broken, don't fix it. Of course, when you want something to be more efficient, then that's where you should check things out. But you need to kind of, you said before, answer questions that need to be answered. Like if there's a problem, then maybe fix it with a tool. But if there's not a problem, then maybe just continue to do things as are.
Makes a lot of sense.
So when dealing with founders, is there like a specific problem that you've found or like have identified, maybe in relation to content or just in general, that you think if this was considered that they would have like a much easier time like doing what they're doing online?
Yeah. So one of the things, as I said, again, for people who don't know, like with Zync, we have a virtual recording studio, kind of like what we are recording right now, like Riverside or anything. It's like a recording studio, but like specifically for short form video content and making it really easy for you to record things and like cutting down like recording time by like 80%. That's what we do over there. And one of the big challenges that we face, we see people going through is there is the solo studio where you jump in and you create content and you do it, and like Zync works fantastic for it, and we have like thousands of founders using it for that purpose and like create like really good content, and that part is great. But another part, which is this kind of collaborative video content that you create, is very valuable. Like, you're asking me questions and we're doing this. But what we have done right now is kind of like innovate a little bit in that space. And that's something that is brand new. And it's like a new behavior that people are not even aware of. Like when we talk over here, there is a lot of benefit when it comes to like these kind of podcasts where we are having a conversation. As you said, like it brings out like the true top of mind thoughts, the hot takes, like everything that comes over here, and builds a relationship. Like, it's like we catch up after the call and we catch up before the call and everything. But there's also a lot of disadvantages when we like do podcasts synchronously, like the amount of time it took us to schedule this. And like, we probably spoke about this like 3 months back, and then like now we are like sort of scheduled it, and like we're on the call over here. It takes 1 hour of my time, and then it takes 1 hour of your time, and then like you're doing a lot of work over there. And so what we've done is what we call as like collaborative video, where we can still jump into a quick call and like catch up and like try to get like what is Arjun about, and like what are some things that I can ask him, and then record like few questions and just shoot me a link to like record a response from my end, and we can asynchronously finish this in a way where like it only spends like 5-10 minutes of my time, because I'm just like answering 1 or 2 questions, but it creates a short form video as if we were in a podcast, but just asynchronously recorded, and then we actually are able to do it. And so that's a new product line, or like even a feature per se that we've done. And I wish, this is the part where I talked about like sort of behavior change. People don't even think about it like this. And now I'm trying to like convince people that like this is a new way of creating podcasts. It's asynchronous. It's something that it's way more easier than creating a podcast. Takes way less of your time. And like most of the work is done like by AI. But it takes a while for us to convince people to do that part.
So you're kind of convincing, like, if people aren't looking at it or like seeing a problem, then they're not, you kind of have to identify it for them and like identify that inefficiency in their workload that they're not already seeing.
Exactly. There's a lot of awareness creation, which is a big onus. You don't have as a startup, you don't have like the budget to like create awareness campaigns that are not really reading results, but you're just trying to like deliver the output of it. So, but I mean, as someone who actually comes from a podcast world, you understand the idea of how even the hundreds of people that you have already had a conversation with in the past, you can actually like see, oh, there's something recently happened, but I know I've had a conversation with like John about this. And so let me shoot an email with one question to John and like get his response. And now like it's a trending topic that I can now post a video on, is like a fantastic way to like re-engage your past guests, maintain that relationship and keep that going. And so, but again, you're not even thinking about this. So it's not a problem in your head right now. So that's the challenge that we have.
I completely understand that. There's a lot of, I think that's a very difficult thing for people to deal with, especially like on your end, trying to identify that for other people and see that is something that they can make better. But also, it's very difficult to convince someone that, they have something that they're doing wrong. I mean, or like not as good, as well as it could be done. And that is like very difficult because there's a lot of pushback with things like that. So I can completely understand like how you wish that mindset change would be incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, as like kind of to wrap up things as we're getting close to time, I just want to kind of talk about the future and like what you're kind of looking forward to as like AI is advancing so unbelievably rapidly, and you're saying that Zync is also changing and like incorporating new things that you think would be helpful. What does success kind of look like to you in the next 5 years? Like things that you think you should be looking to account for, or like even if they might not happen, I think just like looking towards the future, what are you excited about? What are there things that you feel like you should be looking toward that would make you stay ahead of the curve? Different things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in an ideal world, as I said, like the ability to create a new type of paradigm is like the only way that you're going to create a big moat. And I say this again and again because you can easily see like you creating a small optimization and someone else creating a whole new way of doing that, and then like doing the exact same thing, and like you're now in like a competing business. It's like kind of like a red ocean or whatever you call that. And so with AI coming in, your ability to move fast and everything is not a moat anymore, because anybody can move fast. Anybody with like even a minor budget can like create like products and everything. So the true moat is in like creating a whole new way of doing it where like you're known for that, right? Like for example, still ChatGPT rules because they are the ones who like first brought about the whole AI part of it, because that's what it is. Again, there are so many other people who are doing the same thing, but still that advantage that you get from being the first mover in that helps a lot. Similar with like, Slack or like any of these businesses that change the way you operated from where you are. So attempting that is like the biggest thing. And it's a very, very low percentage, even as is startups are like low percentage. And this is like even more low percentage. But I personally think for us, if success it is changing how podcasts are like thought about, like asynchronous podcasts as a way is going to become a new thing. And then we bet on that full time. And then like that succeeds, then we are in business. Anything else, we might sort of mid-level get something going, and then like it's probably not like going to be very successful. So like I would say like the big success is obviously in trying to see if we can change the paradigm around it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's something that I think we all need to look forward to in order to not be left behind. And I think that was like a very difficult time that a lot of people had when not adjusting to AI coming in the landscape just a couple of years ago. And now it's so large that it almost needs to be incorporated in order to stay ahead of the curve. So that you're looking at those things.
Absolutely. Yeah. AI in particular is, it's very new, and like we're all very excited, and we're all like finding different ways in which we can use it, and like we're playing it. Over time, it's going to become so much an integral part of how we do things that it's not going to be like an advantage or something like that. It's just, it exists. Like mobile is something that was like such a big thing. Cloud was such a big thing. But now like, it's kind of like how we do business. Like you cannot like not have an app, or you cannot like not deploy in cloud. Like, so everything is like goes through a period of like this newness, and then it becomes so commoditized to the point where you just actually incorporate that. And AI is going to get there very soon, if not already in many cases. And so you need to think about like what you can do now that that's the default, right? So, yeah.
100%. I think that's really great advice for our audience. It is something that it is still somewhat of an advantage when you know a lot about it now, but it's going to become so evolved that we're going to have to adjust even further. And that's something that's really important to be on everyone's radar. So Thank you, Arjun, so much for being on this podcast. This was an absolute pleasure. I'm happy to get into like more of like a little bit of the tech side of things, especially when it's related to content, because there is a lot of unknowns in relation to where AI is involved in content. And I think what you are creating is something that is going to be really valuable, and is really valuable for where content is concerned for. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me over here. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. We'd be nothing without you. I hope you have a lovely day, and thank you for joining us today.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service. head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.